Hey y'all, Erin here. Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Erin. I'm a homeschool mama to 3 little ones. I have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And today I'm gonna be doing my end of year review for our previous school year where my children were 8, 5, and 3. We have been using My Father's World pretty exclusively for the past 4 years, with some other things thrown in there here and there. But I'm gonna be specifically talking about what I thought about our school year using My Father's World, and then I'm gonna get into each of them one by one. My husband will timestamp, so if you're just interested in 3rd grade, you can just check that out, or if you're just interested in kindergarten, you can click that. Or what do we do for preschool? You can just click that one. So hopefully whatever you're curious or interested about, you can kind of find that today. Overall, what did I think this year? Loved it. Listen, we've been using My Father's World for 4 years now. Why change what works? And this is working for us. We will continue to use My Father's World next year as well. I just love the way everything flows together so seamlessly. I love that's a Christian worldview, and I love the Charlotte Mason style. So those are the things that draw me to this curriculum year in and year out. All right, specifically, let's go into exploring countries and cultures. So I have done some videos throughout the year so you can kind of catch up specifically about the different parts of the year. I'm just gonna do a quick overview this year. So for exploring countries and cultures, we use this for 3rd grade. And it is specifically focusing on a lot of geography, which I love. So I'm gonna talk about the 5 main things: Bible, geography, science, language arts, and math today. For starting with Bible, The Window in the World, love this resource. One of my favorite books this year. We used this mainly on Mondays, where you would get kind of a window or a look into the country or culture you're learning about. You'd read about what the children live there, what their day is like. And then also at the very end, it talks about specifically how to pray for that country, and I love that aspect. The next book I'm going to talk about is, this one is called Hero Tales, and usually they would sprinkle this in throughout the year, and you'd read a little bit on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but they've got some great people in here like Gladys Aylward and David Livingstone, Martin Luther, Dwight Moody, etc., etc., etc. I thought this was a great book. It's pretty short, quick stories, but gives a introduction to some heroes out there and what their stories were. The next book I'm going to talk about is Kingdom Tales. This was a work of fiction with a lot of Christian stories and values in there. I really enjoyed this book. There's a couple stories that even hit me so powerfully, how they were able to intertwine things like praying and praying for others, people specifically. So I thought this was a great book, and I'm glad that we read it. All right, going into geography, that was my favorite part of this year. I thought all of the map work was great. Throughout the time that you are studying about that particular country, you are doing the little geography game very frequently, and we did it so frequently that we started timing Timothy to see how fast he could get through the whole thing, and then we started competing to see like how fast that could I go faster than him or him. And so it was so funny because I thought I was pretty good at geography, and then you start doing these maps and you're like, oh, I didn't know where that was, and you have to start thinking, and so the more you do it, the better you get. And that's the blessing of doing homeschool with your children, is that you are learning and growing just as much as your children are throughout this process. So I'm a huge fan of the geography aspect. We use this book, the Classroom Atlas, throughout the year, and I thought it was a very helpful and a great resource, and I'm sure we'll keep this on our shelf and use it more throughout our homeschool time. This book, called Children's Atlas of God's World, was fantastic. It is so big, bold, beautiful, has lots of maps, lots of information. We would use this when we're filling out our worksheets throughout the school year about the different countries we're learning. And speaking of worksheets, the way I organized my son's work, we had a binder, and then each tab of the different continents, I did it by tabs of continents, And then I just put all his map work in there, and then the different worksheets that he would fill out. He would color them and then have like different informational pages that he would fill out and different things like that. So that is how I kept track of his work throughout the school year. That had most of his geography, some of his science work, and then even some of his copy work for language arts I'd put in there too. So that's how I kept track of that. Now moving on to science. This was probably my favorite science that we've done throughout my Father's World time. The science complements the geography so well. These are the main two books we use. This is Properties of Ecosystems. This is the Usborne Living World Encyclopedia. So we kind of go back and forth between these books throughout the year. And I thought they were both good. A lot of good information, pictures, all the things. And it's so helpful to study the ecosystem and the animals of the countries you're living in. So I thought that was such a beautiful match. This one we would use mostly in the beginning of the year, but I thought it was a great resource as well. Has coloring pages, mazes, different things that he could work on while I would do some of the reading aspects. So I thought that was a helpful resource. And this was called The Great Animal Search, and the whole family loved this one. So it's like you'd find different things on there. You can talk about, has information about the ecosystem, different things like there's spot 3. So we could do this with Titus and practice counting and stuff like that. But I loved the whole ecosystems and the map stuff. I thought it was a beautiful connection there. Moving on to language arts. We use the My Father's World language lessons for today. This is very the Charlotte Mason style, where the poetry, picture studies, composition, narration, grammar, things like that. So it's what we've been using so far throughout our time of doing homeschool, and I thought it was just fine, works well for us. So for 3rd grade, we started working on cursive. And so we would just do 1 cursive page a day, and this went quite well for us. So I was very pleased with that. Very briefly, I'm going to talk about math. We used the Good and the Beautiful Level 3 math. We did not finish our math this year, and I was kind of conflicted. What do we do? And I just finally decided that we needed a summer break. So we just stopped where we were. We're enjoying our summer break, and when we pick up our school year, we'll just finish this book, and then when we finish that one, we'll start the next level. Okay, so if you've been watching for a while, you know that my love, my passion, what I love to talk about is books. And I read some awesome read-alouds with Timothy this year. They were so awesome. We did a whole video that I'm gonna put at the end of this video if you're curious about all the read-alouds we did. We did a lot of missionary study books. We did the Green Ember series, we did the Chronicles of Narnia, and we did the Secret of the Hidden Scrolls. So that was 4 of the series we read, and then we read a few others throughout the year too. I love talking about them, and in that video, Timothy shares which one's his favorites and how he would rank them. So make sure you check that video out. Moving on to kindergarten. For kindergarten, we use God's Creation from A to Z. I use this with Timothy, I used it with Evie, and I will definitely use it with my youngest, my now 4-year-old son when he's in kindergarten, when he comes up. I just love the curriculum. It starts out with 2 weeks for creation, and then it has 2 weeks for a Christmas study in the middle, and then it has a 2 weeks Fruit of the Spirit study at the very end. And then the rest of the time is just really beautiful, gentle, and lovely. It is a letter of the week with a science topic and a book that goes with it. And then of course at the very back of the teacher's manual has a huge selection of all sorts of other read-alouds you can do. So in my other videos I've done through the year, I shared some of the books we did, and I also talked about our read-alouds in my end of year kindergarten review with Timothy, which is also on my playlist that you can check out. A lot of books, but I'm just not going to go through all of them today because like I said, I can talk about books for a long time. There's a lot of great ones. But specifically, what we use this year, this is the book that you use every Monday. This is the God's Amazing World from Apples to Zebras, and you would start out with this book on Monday, and it's gonna have your science topic. It's gonna have your thing you're gonna focus on, big and small, God made them all. It has a little bit of information about it, and then it's gonna have like a little biblical aspect to read about it in a scripture. So this book you use every week, and then I'm gonna talk briefly about some of the other things we used. So in the beginning, like I said, you do creation, so we made a creation book. And then I like the book concept, so then we also used a book for her badges. And so every Wednesday you would use your badge, which is just like a picture of the topic that you're doing that week. And then you would also do the little saying. So in the book I said the D is for dinosaur, so big and small, God made them all. And then we've put them all throughout the whole year, and it was just a fun little keepsake for us now. And we have our alphabet cards. Halfway through the year, you start reading little books, so that's fun. On Mondays, you do your cut and paste page where you would do your letter of the week and then picture cards. And then just like for Timothy with his book, with his binder, I use a binder for Evie's things. And so all of her other stuff throughout the year, I would just put in here, our calendars, our handwriting pages, math pages, all of the things throughout the year, I just keep them collected right in here, and nice and organized and easy to flip through. This is the main read alouds for the school year. They pick some really good ones, and so I keep them all together so that they were just on the bookshelf, easy to find, and then I'll keep them together so that I'm ready to use them when Titus is in kindergarten. And these were just the ones that came with the curriculum, and like I said, at the very back of the book, they have lots of other suggestions to use, and so I would always get as much as books I can about that topic I would get and read them. All right, so for Timothy I did this, for Evie I did this, and I recommend something like this for you guys as well. I collected all the pictures I took for the year, kept an album on my phone, and then made her a little souvenir keepsake photo album. It shows our first day of school photos, different things we were studying throughout the year, different pictures from field trips and fun projects and books and coloring and different activities they did. So Shutterfly on their app, when you use it, you can get a free 6x6 book, and so that was so fun for us to do. All right, so the last curriculum I'm going to talk about today is the one we use for preschool. It's called All Aboard the Animal Train, and it is such a fun curriculum for the 3-year-olds. So we would use it probably about 2 or 3 times a week for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time. That's really about their attention span at that age, and I think it's really fine. Just a few times a week, 20 to 30 minutes. He saw his older siblings doing school time. He wanted to have that special time too. And I really love the way they set this up, because they're talking about animals, they're talking about character traits, lots of reading together, and then of course the basics of colors and shapes and counting, stuff like that. So again, just like with my other two, I kept a binder for him, and then I organized the tabs by the unit. So the first one was the bunny, and then you're focusing on the number 1, and then the colors. And so these are like the little posters. I would keep these on the bulletin board while we were studying them, and then they'd have coloring pages and different things. And then so the second tab, then it was a lion, and then the number 2, and then the color green, and then he actually likes just flipping through his binder occasionally. And then we would just talk about the different colors and the different shapes and counting everything. So for him, I kept all of his stuff in this little bucket as well. So right next to his poster with what we're focusing on, it has little number cards. So I'd keep that up there. And then we use these books frequently. It is 5 animal tales and 5 more animal tales, and those were cute stories. And then we would go through the big treasury of little animals. This was a great one. And then the Dinner at Panda Palace, Old MacDonald, A Richard Scary, Fuzzy Duckling, and Baby Animals. So Our huge focus for Titus, of course, is just lots of reading and book time, character traits, and Bible. So his favorite book was this one. This is called The First Virtues, 12 Stories for Toddlers. And they would go, the different animals from the animal train would all have a different character trait, like kindness, truthfulness, love, patience, forgiveness, making friends. He loved this book. We read this one more than once, more than twice. He just thought it was really cute and he enjoyed the stories. Also, this one is the preschooler's Bible. So I don't necessarily follow it to a T. What we've been doing is we would just read one story at bedtime, and then we're gonna get through the Bible, and then we're gonna do it again and then again as many times as he's willing to listen to it. So we did that with Evie and it's working well with her, so we'll do that with Titus. And then all of the little cutout pieces, I would just kind of keep in little baggies in case we wanted to use them again. The different games you would do with the different songs. But all in all aboard the animal train was great, super fun, and it's making the learning process so enjoyable when you have something to focus on. So all 3 curriculums this year have been great, loved them. And as you know, we will be using My Father's World next year. I'm going to be using World Changers for Timothy. I'll be using Learning God's Story for Evie. And then I'll be doing the Voyage of Discovery for Titus. So we already got everything all set up for our next school year. One more thing I want to talk about is our extracurriculars. I know sometimes that's a big hot topic in the homeschooling world. You know, what do you guys do outside of the school? So for us, we did find a co-op that we loved here, and our co-op last year covered so many awesome things. Like for Timothy, he did art and he did Chronicles of Narnia, and then another class that I helped teach was a Geronimo Stilson class. And then for Evie, she got an art, a nature study class, and then I did a Morning Circle Fairy Tales class with her, and then Titus got 3 classes for him. So we did a co-op once a week on Fridays. That was a great addition to our homeschool year. Also, we do Awana from our church, which stands for Approved Workmen Are Not Ashamed. And it's a program for children that really focused on learning scripture. So they have a time where they're learning scripture, they're memorizing it. They have a time when they are in like a small group or a large group discussion where they talk together and they pray together about all sorts of different things, Bible stories and what they're learning specifically in their workbooks, missionaries, and then praying for each other. And then finally they do games, which my husband and I did together. So that was so fun. And it was fun for me to volunteer with my husband, but it was so fun because all of us were involved in Awana together as a family. And then finally we did swim lessons in the fall, and then we did soccer in the spring. So we had a good mix of being at home, but also getting out and doing stuff too. So we'll do something pretty similar to that this upcoming year as well. Well, with that, I'm gonna put our read alouds on the end of this video. If you have any questions or comments or things you want to encourage me with, I would love to hear your encouragement. You can drop those in the comment box. And with that, we will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.